What's up, everyone? Today on Robeytech, we've got all the latest Steam Deck news you could ask for. There's a new adorable Mascot, crazy emulation setups that people have made, and a dock with an expandable disk drive, and so much more. Let's find out right here, right now on Robeytech. Let's start today's Steam Deck news with that and more part. First up is news that Valve has finally opened up repair centers for the Steam Deck. If you encounter an issue and need to send your Steam Deck for repair or replacement, devices will now go to one of their repair service centers. They'll diagnose your device, repair it if needed, and send it back to you in tip-top shape. Now, there is a warranty on the Steam Deck, and these service centers will cover all warranty work at no cost to you, but they'll also do no warranty services if required. If something falls outside of the realm of warranty repairs when they look at your device, they'll let you know what's up, give you the choice of paying to have them fix it, or they can send it right back to you as is. Now, in the event that you're handy enough with an iFixit kit, iFixit, and can handle the repairs yourself, then hey, you're completely free to do so. It's also a good option in the case you want to have another technician look at the device or see if you can get the repair done somewhere else cheaper. Now, no word yet on if out of warranty repairs get covered if the event doesn't fix it permanently, but this is actually a big step towards long-term adoption of the platform. I mean, you gotta be able to fix them if they break or have something wrong with them, right? That's kind of a no-brainer. Just think of how differently the PC building DIY scene would be if you couldn't RMA a product or different components. So, you know what? Good job, Valve, for having this and adding this level of customer support. Last time we talked about the Steam Deck, we told you that Valve would have a Steam Deck presence at the Tokyo Game Show, or TGS, in just a few weeks' time. Now we, as any good otaku know that Japan loves anime mascots. Now there's a mascot for everything: cable companies, Windows 10, streaming platforms, so why not the Stream Deck? Well, say hello to our brand new friend Pal, the adorable mascot with an the adorable mascot with an uwu face and outfit. There may even be some novelty collectibles of Pal at the event, so if you're there, I wouldn't be mad if someone snagged some for us. We'd definitely put them up here and set them up right here on the set for the show. Now, as per usual, the internet is quick in adopting these mascots, with someone already building a VR avatar of Pal that is fully modeled and rigged. Here's the thing that just lets us know, never underestimate the power of the internet. Now, as we mentioned before, the Steam Deck will be getting a successor eventually, and that Valve has said that they wanted to see the Steam Deck 2 expand in how it can be used. Now, while we thought it might be cool if it could actually be a PC on the go, a few gamers have decided that Steam Deck would make a great emulator for old mobile gaming devices. Using the Linux version of Vita 3K, YouTuber ETA Prime managed to run PS Vita games on their Steam Deck. There are 280 games listed as playable for the emulator, but not necessarily on the Steam Deck. As of right now, ETA Prime has only managed to get 4 games working on it, since most of the titles would require higher-end setups to run smoothly. There are a few steps you have to jump through to get it working on your Steam Deck, since you just can't install it via Steam. They sideloaded it on their PC, which allowed them to access the files and to download it to their Steam Deck, so they're actually running this off the device, not remotely on their PC. I just want to make that super clear. Since the interface is intended to be used on a desktop, it's a bit wonky to navigate, but once you get into a game, the game controls work absolutely great. It's still a bit of a buggy experience, but this is always how it starts. Street Fighter actually started working for them, but then they got a black screen as soon as they got into gameplay. Now, changing between OpenGL and Vulkan didn't really change anything, so there's still a long road for Vita emulation to be fully realized on the Steam Deck, but that's not the only emulator users have been experimenting with. While there are a few others that have run standard emulators, one stood out among the rest: the Nintendo DS and 3DS handheld devices and the Wii U. Since you can connect your Steam Deck to an external display and it already has a touchscreen display itself, it's actually kind of a natural fit for some of these games. The Steam Deck actually has all of the hardware necessary for the Wii U gyroscope and even the microphone. Now, gamers have tried a lot of different emulators and hardware configurations to get 3DS/Wii U titles to work, but the hardware setups were typically awkward to use on the second screen that would have been a touchscreen, as it's kind of a bit janky to use. But the Cemu emulator added support for a second gamepad window back in 2017, which means that you can load the game up on your extended display and the gamepad display on your Steam Deck. Now, Steam Deck HQ has some handy walkthroughs on how to make it work properly, but the experience seems to be solid for how new the Steam Deck is. Now, let's be clear, we aren't condemning piracy here, so be sure if you're using that it's for games that you already own. However, with the fact that you can no longer purchase some of these games directly from Nintendo, this is another great way to keep up with those old school titles. Now man, it does seem like we're following up on news stories from the last time, you know, like a real news show. Now last time we were here, we mentioned that the Steam dock had been delayed to who knows when due to chip shortages and supply chain issues. But never fear, because third-party manufacturers are on top of things in very cool ways. Jasau has a new dock out for the Steam Deck, and while they've already released a couple of docks that work pretty well, they've upped their game. See what I did here? The HB0604, that really does need a cooler name in my opinion, isn't just a dock that lets you connect an HDMI cable and a mouse and keyboard, but it also has an M.2 slot that lets you expand the Steam Deck storage. Now the base model of the Steam Deck comes with 64 gigs of storage, which isn't enough for some games to even be installed on. Now there are 256 and 512 gigabyte variants, but even so, it's not a ton of space when we know probably there are more than a few of you that have a few terabytes worth, and probably some with a few petabytes worth, of unplayed games in your backlog. Come on, admit it, it's okay. This is a safe space. Now Valve has already stated that trying to swap your hard drive is risky business. And since we mentioned warranty repairs earlier, if you mess this up, it probably won't be covered. So this dock fits any M.2 2280 form factor NVMe and supports PCIe Gen 3, which should be more than fast enough to play games on the Steam Deck. Now it would be great if we had like PCIe Gen 4, but that would introduce even more heat than the Steam Deck already produces on its own. Though, you know, we would be nice to have like a space heater during the winter. Now it is available for purchase now for $129, and it doesn't come with a drive, but they are planning on offering bundles with 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte drive options. It's currently out of stock, and when they come back into stock, it's first come, first serve. But if you're interested, keep a sharp eye over on the website, which we have a link down in the description below, when it's back in stock. And finally, if you were ever doubting the interest in the Steam Deck, then you know that it's currently at the top of this week's sales Steam chart. It's followed by NBA 2K23, Disney's Dreamlight Valley, which also happens to be somehow playable after fiddling with settings on the Steam Deck, even though it's not listed as supported, like we did with our whole Steel series video, which you can see right here, and Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. So needless to say, there are still a lot of people who want to get their hands on the Steam Deck, so much so that there are more hardware sales than game sales for single titles. Well, surprise, and in a completely different shirt, but sometimes videos get corrupted, so that is it for our Steam Deck news for this week. Let me know what you think about these news stories in the comments below. Now, do you already need to get your Steam Deck repaired? How freaking adorable is that new Mascot pal? What games would you emulate on your Steam Deck? And then are you picking up a new HD0604 dock so you can chip away at your backlog of shame? And at the same time also petitioning that company to change the name. Now while you're down there in the comments, that like and subscribe button, it's just sitting right there. So you might well gingerly press those buttons, and why not turn on notifications so you don't miss another video like this. Now why don't you go ahead and check out our live streams? Not here on YouTube, but over at Robeytech Live on YouTube, also over at twitch.tv/Robeytech. You know what, it's happening every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific. And we do things like live builds, we also do live benchmarking of pre-builds, and all sorts of really cool stuff. Before you go, why not head over to your favorite social media platform and also give us a follow. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and also check out our Discord over at discord.gg/Robeytech, where we have amazing people to talk about Steam Deck, PC building, tech news, you name it. They're an incredible community, and you should definitely want to hang out there. We are always trying to upload new content, like this fire build that we posted on Instagram this week, or what about this funny meme from Twitter this week? See, you don't want to miss out on any of these. Anyways, that's it for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you with some more Steam Deck news and information next week.